Hey TGM peeps, I just want to take you through some of the cool combos you can do with new cards from the new booster set Fusion Enforcers. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is take you through the Kraken combo. This is a really easy way to inflict 8,000 damage to your opponent, and you can even do it through a monster, which is really cool. So Frightfur's Fluffles already have a million ways to kill you, but this one is kind of neat, and also it gets much better with some of the cards coming out in future sets. So the first thing you're going to want to do is fuse any way you like, polymerization, or you can use Frightfur Factory, banishing a card from your grave, and just fuse with any Edge Imp and any Fluffle monster. And use those two to make Frightfur Kraken. Now, at this point, you can use Frightfur Kraken's effect and send a monster your opponent controls to the grave, but then now he can't attack. So you're wondering how you're going to do 8,000 damage. Well, if you activate a second copy of polymerization, or Frightfur Factory if you haven't already, you already have the polymerization in the grave for that. Basically, you just have to have another way to fuse, and you fuse your Frightfur Kraken with any other Fluffle or Edge Imp monster. Either will work. And you make yourself a Frightfur Sabertooth. Now when he's fusion summoned, you also get to special summon a Frightfur monster from your grave, like the Kraken. And because this is basically a new Kraken as far as the game is concerned, he can attack, even though you've already used his effect to send a monster your opponent controls to the grave. Frightfur Sabertooth also boosts all of your Frightfur monsters by 400 attack. So now he's 2800 strong, and Frightfur Kraken is 2600 strong and can attack twice. For those of you who are good at maths, you'll realize that's exactly 8,000 damage, and is a really cool way to end the game quite quickly. A lot of the Fluffles have been reprinted in this set in super rare, which means that if you already own the deck, it's a great chance to get high rarity Fluffle dogs, toy vendors, or even a secret rare Frightfur Tiger. And if you don't already own the deck, now's an excellent time to pick it up cheaply and Kraken some people. The second thing I wanted to take you through was the Invoked engine. Now this is probably one of the more meta heavy archetypes of this set, and you'll probably be seeing these at your locals quite a bit, and it's kind of important to understand exactly how it is they work. So it all starts with their field spell, Magical Meltdown. Like all good field spells, you can run 3 terraforming in the deck in order to search this one out a little bit faster, and it has 3 effects. The first one is that when it's activated, you can add a copy of Alistair the Invoked to your hand, which we'll do. We'll get to him later. Your opponent can't respond to the summon of a fusion monster using a fusion spell, which means if you summon a fusion monster, your opponent can't torrential tribute you or bottomless trap all your monster. And your opponent can't negate fusion spells. So your opponent can't solemn warning your fusion spell either, and they can't torrential the monster when it comes out. So it's pretty good at protecting your fusion summons. So it adds Alistair the Invoker to your hand. And when he's normal summoned or flip face up, but almost always normal summoned, you get to add a copy of Invocation to your hand. So now already you've turned your 1 card into 3. Now Alistair is also very important because all of the invoked fusion monsters require Alistair and a specific element. So there's one for wind, one for earth, one for fire, light, dark, etc. So he's pretty important, but luckily your fail spell searches for him. So now you've got your Invocation in your hand. Invocation is the fusion spell for the archetype, which, as we mentioned, can't be negated if you have the Magical Meltdown up, and it allows you to fusion summon using monsters from just your hand. But if you're summoning an invoked fusion monster, you can also banish monsters from your field or from either player's graveyard, which is really cool. So you can run your own little support engine of monsters, like Wind Witches are a popular choice, but you can also use it to leverage off your opponent's monsters. So it's worth running one of each type of fusion monster in your extra deck, because even if you're not playing any fire monsters, you might be able to capitalize on the fact that your opponent's playing Infernoids by, say, banishing the Deviati and summoning a guy in one fell swoop, which is like kind of a neat deal. You can also do things like use Invocation to banish your Alistair and, say, a Zodiac Molten Rat in your opponent's graveyard, and summon an invoked Magallanica, who's just a real big guy, which is always good. Now, so you've used up your Alistair and your fusion spell. This is in your graveyard, this is banished, and you have your fusion monster, right? That's a pretty good deal for 1 card. But the fun part is that you keep generating advantage. When Invocation's in the grave, you can shuffle it back into your deck in order to add a banished copy of Alistair back to your hand. Which means that next turn, you're ready to normal summon Alistair again and add Invocation back to your hand. So you can see that basically, you're always going to end up with the fusion spell and the monster you need to summon all your guys. And as long as you have monsters as fuel in your graveyard or your opponent's graveyard, you're going to be able to summon big fusion monsters every single turn. So you can see where this is going to be a really popular archetype. For those playing at home, that means one of the best ways to disrupt their players are to either stop their Alistair being banished, for example using an Artifact Lancier, or to use something like DD Crow to hit their fusion spell while it's in the grave. Lastly, I just wanted to go through some of the cool reprints that are in this set. There's a couple of fusion-related cards that have been quite hard to get your hands on. That'll be a pretty good idea for anyone who's playing fusion-based decks to pick up. So the first one is King of the Swamp. You can discard him to add a copy of Polymerization to your hand, which is pretty handy if you're running a fusion-based deck. And you can also substitute for any named fusion monster. So that's really great for any of the Frightfares that require a specific edge imp, or any of your invoked monsters that specifically need Alistair, or a whole bunch of other decks as well. He's only been printed a couple of times, so it's nice that he's kind of really easy to get now. The other two I wanted to talk about were Instant Fusion, which we obviously know being quite popular, and Refusion, which is probably a little bit less popular. So Instant Fusion is obviously a very, very powerful card. People have been using it to summon Elder Entity Norden and Sea Monster of Theseus. These two aren't in the set, just FYI. And these very, very powerful cards, lots of impact. Zombie Tuner 5-star, arriving level 4. I think the cool thing about Refusion is that you can, it's basically premature burial for fusion monsters. So you can pay 800 life points, target a fusion monster in your graveyard and revive them. And then if this card is destroyed, you banish the opponent's banish that equipped monster. So the cool thing about Refusion is that if, for example, you fuse for your Elder Entity Norden using your Instant Fusion, and then you overlay and make an Xyz monster, and then you detach him as a material, you can activate this, pay 800, bring him back, bring another monster back, make another Xyz, and then because it becomes an Xyz material, this can't stay equipped to him, so it just gets sent to the graveyard by game mechanics. And because it's not equipped to him anymore, he's unaffected by it, he doesn't get banished, he stays on under the Xyz monster as an Xyz material. Even if you use him for a Synchro Summon, it works for the same way. So basically, as long as you keep drawing Refusions and you keep having Norden in the grave, it's basically a free Xyz or Synchro monster if you're on tuners every single time you activate this card, which is really cool. Similarly, Theseus is... you can survive like a 5-star tuner, which is really, really handy as well and has a lot of applications. Being able to just monster reborn monsters is always really, really good, especially in combo decks. They're kind of trying to chain together a whole bunch of Xyz or Synchro Summons. And this card, again, hadn't been printed many times. I think I had to buy them for about $10 each, and they were common and very, very bent. So pulling 3 out of a box of supers was really, really good. So that's all for me on Fusion Enforcers. Make sure you read the article for the rest of the set review, and if you want, check out our unboxing video as well. The set's out right now, so if you want to get stuck into it, keep an eye out for these new cards at your locals this weekend.